Alright, you ready to talk about some shit?
Yes!
Mortal Kombat!
Is what we're talking about today.
What? Oh wow, have we got confused?
Oh, I'm so confused.
I'm so confused. Hi, welcome to Talking Shit.
Hello, guys.
We just legitimately pretty much just got back from seeing Mortal Kombat in cinemas. Because...
Pretty dumb.
It was very dumb. Theatres have only just opened in good old Britain, which I'm very happy for. So we saw Godzilla Lizard vs. Monkey yesterday. Saw Mortal Kombat today. I might go see Spiral at some point. It's pretty soon, I think. Because it'd be fun. Black Widow then. I'm just excited for cinemas to be opening, but guess what? We're not talking about Mortal Kombat, even though I'd very much like to. I think maybe we'll do it at some point because there's really stupid things, but we just got back from it and I don't think I can fully process and remember everything very well and I liked it though. I knew it was going to be fucking stupid going in, so I was just ready. And it made us laugh. And also violence is good. So those are all the things I like.
Dead wife and kids equals
Dead
funny.
wife and kids. I was going to say, you were worried that you were a bit of a sociopath coming out of it because you were laughing at Hanzo Hasashi.
I think I was trying to explain it earlier, but I think I laugh at being in a cinema because it's like this big massive spectacle, and like on a massive screen, and everything's like, I don't know. I guess I'm meant to be serious, but like often because it's Mortal Kombat, for God's sake, it's like a Mortal Kombat movie. Like I don't know, like it's kind of dumb. Like it's kind of dumb, and
it's you don't have to say kind of. It's very dumb.
Like just
Mortal
the
Kombat
setup
is dumb.
and like it just makes me laugh. I don't know.
Mortal Kombat is dumb anyway, and then this film took itself way too seriously, and also just made up a bunch of really weird shit, like arcanas.
I think it's like when I don't believe the acting, I just find it funny.
I believe the actors were doing the best they could, but I think the direction they were given was probably zero. The editing.
I think
I'm
just too cynical, honestly.
I mean, Dead Wife and Kid, that is pretty funny. You don't worry about that.
Hey, but
we did both laugh at a combat roll. That was my favourite thing. At one point, a character does a combat roll and kind of afterwards does a bit of a like shake himself up. Yeah, I did a combat roll, and me and you were like, lol, dumbass.
If only looked directly at the camera and winked. There were a couple moments like that where, like, that would have just topped the moment off.
Like when Kung Lao, like when he cut that bitch in half, razor bladed her in half, and then went flawless victory. And looked at the camera, ding!
Sparkle in his eye. Yeah.
I like. We always start this show. Did we say what this show is? I think we did. It's Talking Shit, by the way. Hello. We're actually
presented to you by Joe,
me,
and Dan. You,
me.
But not you, the audience. You.
Hello, audience. We're glad you're here. Yes. We're actually talking about Castlevania today. I promise we will talk about Castlevania. We do a little intro thing every you know what I mean, and we just talk about things, and we just come back from a movie, so you know.
Hey, you're getting to know us. You know, you're having a little peer into our.
Do you think there's anything else to our life other than the media that we consume? No, there's nothing. There's no substance. Much like the Mortal Kombat movie. No, just kidding. I liked it, but it's bad. But I liked it. Raiden's an asshole, right? That was like we both agree. He's such an asshole. Whatever. Go see it. I guess. Also, go see Lizard vs. Monkey. I actually enjoyed Mortal Kombat more than Lizard vs. Monkey, you know, which is weird because everyone else in America who got it first, or HBO Max, whatever, just saw it. It seems everyone else much prefers Lizard Monkey, but I thought Lizard Monkey was just as stupid. It's more competently made, but I thought it was just as dumb.
There's more of a story in Mortal Kombat, I guess.
Kind of. It's told to you in a really...
know.
They're both of their stories are told to you in a very confusing way. Like, I was telling Joe when we got out, I was like, I have played Mortal Kombat a lot. Like, I really loved Mortal Kombat 9 and 10. 9 especially. Mortal Kombat 9 is fantastic. But... yeah, like I recently went, literally only like a couple weeks ago, because I was in Mortal Kombat mood, because the film came out. I replayed through the Mortal Kombat 9 story, which anybody who's played it knows that that's like one of the best kind of like, if you're going to introduce someone to Mortal Kombat and just, it's kind of the default now kind of one to play if you want to get an idea of the story and the lore, and you know, it's the most basic one that just goes through the general story, like this film is, with the 9 out of 10 tournaments. There's like one tournament left, Fate of Earthrealm. But like I was like, as somebody who plays the games, I was still a little confused, and I was like, this has got to be really confusing for somebody who's never played the games. Like Raiden just shows up with lightning powers, and it's never really explained. They say the word Elder God a fair few times. They mention the Elder Gods, but it's like Raiden. They make it out as if Raiden is an Elder God himself, which it's hard to explain. He is, but whatever. Yeah, very confusing, but also just very fun, because like I say, people get hat saw bladed in half, and then the person goes flawless victory. It's pretty good. Anyway, that's the intro sequence done, so I can put intro. Probably just going to be like mini Mortal Kombat review, I guess, because we just kind of... but no, we're actually here today to talk about probably my... is it my favourite Netflix show? It's up there. I'd say top 3 Netflix shows. Daredevil, obviously. Yeah, Daredevil, Castlevania, and what else is a Netflix only one? I don't want to say Jessica Jones. You can only think of 2, then I guess it is just those 2. I guess as a third, I'd say Jessica Jones season 1, just the first season, because the first season is incredible. But yeah, it's really up there. It's fantastic. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I got I got recommended it by watching that Cosmonaut Variety Hour video, like whenever the first season came out, and I was like, that sounds really cool. And I've played some Castlevania. I'll get it. Yeah.
I thought I recommended it to you, or had I already watched it?
What it was I saw the video, and then I watched season 1, then I got to the start of season 2 and stopped watching it because another show started, and I just kind of broke up. And then I mentioned it to you that I needed to carry on watching it, and you were like, I've seen like the first 2 seasons, and I was like, yo, okay. And then I started watching it more, and then got really into it, and I said to you, you need to start watching it again. And then like you basically were like, hey, I watched it, it was good. And I said, oh, I'll carry on. And then I got past where you were, and I said, you need to now carry on watching it because it's incredible. And we were both like, yes, it is.
First 2 seasons were like, I binged them, and then actually kind of like 2.5 seasons. But like, I just kind of lost interest for a bit. Or something else, I just forgot about it.
Yeah, it's probably like it is a thing of like the start of season 2 is quite slow because it's building up. It does a lot of character work, which we're going to get into, is something that this show is so fucking good at. The characters are incredible. But yeah, I like, it was a bit slow, and then like I say, another show was having a new season of something. I don't remember what it was because it was a while ago. And I was like, well, I'm going to watch a new season of that show, and just, this show is slow, and like season 3 is going to come out in a little bit, so I've got time like until the 3rd season comes out. And then I immediately, when that show was done, went, right, let's go back to Castlevania because I'm bored and got nothing to watch. And I finished season 2 and went, oh fucking wow. And that kind of set the formula for what season 2 onwards does. Because season 1 of Castlevania, for those who don't know, and by the way, I guess this technically counts as a non-spoilery part, but the non-spoiler stuff is going to be very short. This video is not going to be for you. We're going to pretty much immediately go into spoilers after this a little bit. But if you haven't seen it, really, I'd check it out. It's fantastic. You got Netflix. It's basically free. It's really good. So like season 1's only 4 episodes. Like, I'm trying to get my dad into this, who, we've already been over this in a previous episode, is just retarded, and for some reason animation intimidates him mentally, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so like I've said to him, like, you can binge watch the entirety of season 1 in less than it takes to watch most movies nowadays. They're 20-minute episodes, only 4 episodes first season. An hour and 20 minutes, it blows by because it's so fucking good. Like, season 1, episode 1, I never thought they'd beat that first episode. Like, where Dracula's wife is killed and the whole setup and Dracula on the town, like, all the night creatures invading and the fiery face in the sky and just the amazing animation. Oh, man, so good. And then season 2 came out and I watched the season 2 finale. This show does the thing where the finale is actually episode 9 and then the actual finale, episode 10, is kind of like the repercussions of that and either a setup for a next season or, in the case of this last season 4, just the kind of payoff to the epic finale, like just letting us know how this story ends and tying up loose ends. But yeah, I think there's 10 episodes in season 2, but whatever it is, last but one episode of season 2 where characters, I won't go into it because we're non-spoilers technically, but characters storm Dracula's castle for a big like fight. Ooh, like the season 4 storming of Dracula's castle again, which non-spoilers, won't say who owns it, what changed, blah blah, and that's pretty close to being just as good, but I think season 2 still takes the cake, if not for the way it ends, which again is character driven rather than just being cool action. So yeah, this show's got everything. This show, like, if you just want to sit back and have a show that has really cool characters that you can get into and great action, you've got that. If you want a show that actually is kind of philosophical to some extent and actually has something to say, that's here too. And if you just want a cool show that, like, yeah, you just want to sit back and whatever, and, like, you know, you don't want it to be a massive investment, they're only 20-minute episodes and they blow by. I love a show with 20-minute episodes that actually does stuff with its time. Like, if there's one thing I can say this show does incredibly, is give you just enough for everything to make sense and be satisfying and, like, have enough. And it spends time wisely. The one thing I hate about TV is that it wastes your fucking time. Like, there's always too many seasons, the episodes are too long and they fill them out, there's filler episodes. You know what I mean? Like, and I think this show just does a great job of 20-minute episodes, 10 to most seasons, 4 to 1. And it just gives you everything you need. It doesn't insult your intelligence. It respects you as an audience member. And it's like, hey, we're going to lay the story out for you. And there's deeper ways to look into it. Or there's just the face value. You decide how you want to enjoy it. And it's 4 seasons. Like, they're done. There may be spin-offs, but there's no continuation of this thing. They had a story to tell. They told it in 4 seasons. And before they ran out of ideas and just had to stretch it, they went, we'll end it. They didn't do a Game of Thrones where they just went, nah, we'll rush it and end it. It builds to a satisfying conclusion. All of the characters have satisfying ends, whether they be happy or not. And I love the show. I cannot recommend it more. I've been talking for way too long. Non-spoilery thoughts, Joe would say?
It's good.
It's very good. He's playing with is that like a sock puppet monkey? There's like a specific name.
Bro, that makes me... I'm playing with a sock puppet monkey, okay? Yeah.
I feel bad because you were just respecting the diatribe I was going on and letting me talk.
I'm honestly skipping through some of the episodes, trying to remember what's gone on completely, honestly.
Yeah, you did mention to me before that, like, you just finished season 4 today, but yeah, you weren't like... I think before season 4 came out, I rewatched a fair chunk. I definitely rewatched season 1, sorry, because obviously it's easy. I watched a bunch of recaps as well. Like, so you know what? Okay, what I will do is, I said we're gonna go through each season, go through spoilers, talk about what we like, maybe explain the story to people who don't care and just want to listen along. And then when we get to the 4th season, we'll actually go super in-depth and just talk spoilers till the end of the thing. We'll talk about the whole show, what we feel about it, the resolutions, everything. So, spoilers from here on out for the entire show. If you've only seen up to certain seasons, you can listen to... We'll make it clear which season we're talking about, and when we stop talking about it, go into the new one. So, it's going to be easy. There's timestamps. We got this. Hey, I won't spoil anything. It's cool. Unless you ruin it for yourself. That's your choice. I'm making it very easy for you to understand. So, Season 1. For anyone who doesn't remember. So, Dracula, he's a big old vampire boy. He's the top vampire boy. In this world, it's back in like... not like medieval times, was it? Like 1400s or something, 1300s. So actually, yeah, kind of medieval times. We're in Europe, and it's all like, hey... there were these guys called the Belmonts. They fought all these night creatures and wizards and witches as all kind of ghouls and just, you know, fairy tale kind of creatures. But then we went, hey, you've helped us for all this time fighting these things, but now these things have gone. And religion's about, and religion's keeping these things at bay. So you know what? Fuck you. You're too powerful. You know and have too much. So then the Belmonts all get killed off, except for one. And he's like, fuck this, you killed my family. I'm going to become a drunk. And that's Trevor. That's our main boy, Trevor Belmont.
Yeah, big boy.
So this woman, she's like, yo, I forget Dracula's wife's name, but it's Dracula's wife. She's like, hey, Dracula, I'm gonna knock on your fucking door. And he's like, well, this is weird. Humans should be scared of me. She's like, yeah, but you know, like science and shit, and my village is dying, and religion sucks. You know, science, that makes more sense. Help me heal people. Maybe travel the world. Hey, maybe I can make you whole. Maybe humans are actually cool. Well, just me. Most humans suck, but just me. And he's like, you know what, that's cool. So they bang, get married, have a kid named Alucard, who is half vampire, half human. So basically uber cool. But then, oh no, Dracula's off traveling, his wife's helping people, but somebody's like, religion, stop this woman's science. And this Pope character from the first season, who's one of my favourite villains ever. I don't know who he's voiced by, I should have looked it up, but he does such a good job. He's like, fuck you, I'm going to burn you at the stake, you bitch. So they burn Dracula's wife, and then Dracula appears in the sky, and he's like, fuck you, you've got a year to apologise for what you did, and not do bad things, religion, or I'm going to kill you, and fuck everybody. And then they're like, yeah, whatever. So then time goes by, and they don't do anything, and Dracula's like, well, fuck you, and he kills everyone. And he's like, I'm going to just take out I'm just going to kill the entire human population. Fuck them. Trevor's like, that's not cool. And then this magician woman comes along, Cypher, who's like, yo, let's help each other to find... A speaker, yes. And she's like, let's find this chosen one who can save the day and kill Dracula. And Trevor's like, oh, is it maybe me, you fucking dick? And they're like, no, you drunk fuck. And then they find Alucard, and he's like, I'm a vampire. And they're like, yeah, we fight. But then Alucard's like, wait a second, I was comatose by my dad. I didn't realize you were against my dad. I don't like my dad. He's trying to kill everybody.
Common enemy.
I'm half human, yeah. Hey, let's be friends. So then season 1 ends with them being like... Yeah, they literally ends with them being like, here's our 3 main characters now. Dynamic will be established.
It is like the perfect setup.
Setup, yes.
Like those 4 episodes are like... I can imagine those 4 episodes being shown to as like a pilot, but the 4 episodes.
Which most pilots are over an hour nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, and then based off that, they were like, "Hey, this is pretty cool. Let's do
you
a
know what's
second
funny? That is exactly what it was. So the reason it's only 4 episodes, and the animation is really good, but there's episode 2, it kind of dips a bit because they didn't have a lot of money, so they were like, "We're gonna do this setup for a show." And if people respond to it and people watch it and Netflix like it, they'll give us more money. So it was basically a test. It was basically a pilot. And obviously everyone loved it. So season 2 happens. Now in season 2, shit gets very complicated. By the way, I mean, that's all we can say about season 1 really, is that it's great and it's a really great setup. It's very simple and it does its job. That's like most of it. It does get more complex, obviously more characters and stuff, but it's a simple like... everything is laid out to you in a simple way rather than overcomplicating and doing all this bullshit. Like, there's a bunch of stuff going on, but it's easy to follow and you're invested. That's why this show's great. So season 1, I'm gonna say 9 out of 10 or 8.5 out of 10. I don't want to go too insane. 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was great. How about you?
What? Sorry.
I give it an 8.5 out of 10.
8, sure.
Okay, respectable. So we're moving on to season...
Like,
yeah, I could tell, yeah.
Fuck.
We're moving on to season 2. So in season 2, shit gets more Game of Thronesy, and kind of the standard for this show sets in. So the first few episodes, we set up what each character is doing. So we have Trevor, Cypher, and Alucard going about, fighting some monsters, finding the Belmont hold, the old place where all the Belmonts had all their knowledge stored and all their weapons. Trevor finds his whip, which is fucking bad. We got to talk about this whip especially in the finale. Woo! It's such a good whip. They get weapons, they get all this knowledge, and they're like, right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and get Dracula's castle because it can teleport. By the way, this castle can fucking teleport.
It's a magic teleporting castle. God damn.
Hell yeah!
Didn't you know?
So, they're like, we're gonna get this castle to teleport right in front of us. Cypher's gonna be a magic girl, and we're gonna get in front of us. We're gonna kill my dad because he's trying to kill all of humanity. It's cool. So Dracula is actually just kind of chilling. You can tell he's kind of tired, burnt out. He's got this cause to kill everybody because they killed his wife, but in no way is he enacting it himself. He's got a council of people around him, other vampires, other like night creatures. These people called Forge Masters, who are humans who have like the ability to raise the dead, bring the dead back from hell as like night creatures.
They spawn back as monsters, basically.
Yes, they spawn back as these horrific monsters
which
who
they
are loyal
control.
to. Yes, they are loyal to them. And Isaac is one of them, who is a slave, a black slave, who eventually killed his owners. And he's seen the worst of humanity, so he believes in Dracula's cause to kill all humans because he knows that even though he is one, he knows how horrible, selfish, all these things that they can be. And Isaac is a weirdo loner who like would raise his dead dog back from the dead to still be a puppy with him, and people call him a freak. So he kind of hates humanity too, but he's younger and also hasn't seen as much. So for him, it's like he thinks that Dracula
wants fully in it. He's like,
yeah, he thinks that Dracula's going to control the humans. He's going to get rid of all the bad ones and then kind of herd all the humans together, use them as like. Because obviously vampires live by drinking blood, so he thinks he's going to like herd them, make them kind of livestock, but not wipe them all out, because obviously he's human, so he knows that there can be potential to understand and learn and blah, blah, blah. And then you've got the only other really important character in this is Camilla. Camilla is a female vampire from a like kingdom in like frosty land. Was it Norway, Sweden, something like that? Somewhere in Europe that's frosty. And she has this plan to kind of get rid of Dracula. She's like, you old bag, you ain't actually serious about killing everybody, you fucking dick. So she's kind of playing schemes, and she's like, Hector, maybe I can get him to betray Dracula, who knows?
I do love Hector's whole arc.
Hector's one of my favourite characters in the show. Hector and Isaac might be my two favourite characters in the show, and they're both like, they both are bad guys in season 2, and then...
I like Isaac, like he's cool, but
I like him a lot.
He's like, I don't know. He doesn't really have an ending, does he?
He does. He does.
He kind of is like, oh yeah.
I love his arc over season 3, especially to get to season 4. We'll get into it, but yeah.
Is it an arc though, or is he just doing?
Hell yeah, it's an arc.
He's just doing shit, isn't he?
He changes. He goes through changes, trials and tribulations that change him. We'll get into it. But yeah, so anyway, this all kind of culminates where Camilla's like, yo, Hector, you know Dracula's just like really old and stupid, and also is just planning on killing everybody. Like he doesn't actually care about keeping people alive and livestock. He's just killing them. So they kind of trick Dracula into attacking this village where like they've gone in and prepared for Dracula. He thinks it's like a surprise attack. So all of his armies are like, you know, doused in like holy water. They're dropped from bridges into holy water infested like rivers. Camilla's army shows up as well to help attack, and basically Dracula's castle gets absolutely fucked. And there's only a few kind of top ranking guys left in there. And then at the exact same time, Cypher finally figures out how to bring the castle to them, and she teleports the castle in front of the Belmont Hold. And then it gets stuck from teleporting away. She traps it there. So they've already got half fucked. Then Trevor, Alucard, and Cypher show up, and they just wreck fucking shop. And it's so fucking good. Like, the magic stuff. Like, Cypher has, like, what? Fire, ice, and electricity. And
I think she gets electricity, like, near the end. Like
that might be season 3 onwards, yeah. She can do some gnarly fucking shit. Like, she's basically flying like Iron Man with fire, and then, like, spawning ice and, like, darting people and like making ice to make steps that then drop on people. And Trevor's got this whip where basically, I believe, what is it, like silver steel, Like, you know, the kind that makes like,
yeah,
vampires go,
it's like it's called Morning Star, isn't it, or some shit?
something like that. Yeah,
I feel like
you can tell I've only barely
And-
played Castlevania 1 and 4. I don't remember the name of stuff, but like basically the end of it, like when if it touches like a certain part on a night creature or vampire or whatever, it like bubbles up into these orange bubbles and then they explode like and blow them up, and it's so gruesome and so cool. There's so many moments where it's like if there's a big guy, he'll like whip the leg of it and the leg blows off and like it's bleeding everywhere, and then it falls down and like Alucard will teleport behind it, like chop its head off with his magic sword.
Whenever those three are together, they just have
so good.
they just have perfect synergy.
Which is
epic.
unreal.
But it's like, okay.
But the thing is that it's so like
I'm
amazing.
not complaining.
Yeah, it's so amazing that I'm never like, oh, that's a bit. I'm like, nah, these guys are like top level. These guys are top tier.
Also, do you enjoy it when if Trevor's got to say something during a fight and he's using his whiff and it just zooms in on him and it's just him like waving his arm about and you just see like the whiff in the background like kind of moving about, but it's not really doing anything. It's just like a I've got to say something cool.
And he'll be saying some kind of line like, "You're fucking dead" or whatever.
Fuck these night creatures, am I right, guys?
Did you step on my toe, pussy? He never says pussy, but yeah. It's because we've just seen Mortal Kombat and Kano's like, "Yeah, fucking pussy."
Yeah, fucking dog.
Yeah. Oh god, it's so good. And then eventually, remember I said it. Eventually, it ends in character moment. Like Alucard's the one who makes it up to his dad, and it's just two top level vampires going like they got super strength, super speed. Alucard can teleport. He's got a sword that he can Magneto, just like mind control to go anywhere he wants. And they are like tearing up through this castle. They're like flying from one tower through the wall, crashing through another, throwing each other through like massive like astrology kind of like, what are those things called? You know, where they set up the planets on an actual like kind of rotating statue-like figure. And then eventually it ends in like Alucard's childhood bedroom, and like they kind of become this point where Dracula's like, "I'm fighting my own son, like I lost my wife and now I'm killing my own son, like
really
fuck
good.
What have I, like, what is this?" And it's like he's the villain who wants to kill all of humanity, and yet he's so human, and you're like, oh, because he hasn't been out there killing everybody. He's kind of been like sat around like, oh god, like he's just broken, and this finally breaks him. And then Alucard, you think maybe like they're gonna reconcile or whatever, but Alucard still knows, you know, he needs to kill his dad. He's gone insane, like there's nothing he can do, and he stabs him with like a wooden splintered part of his childhood bed.
Stake. He goes stake to the heart.
He did, and then Dracula
kills
goes. They come up, reconcile with each other, and then it's decided that Trevor and Cypher, they've kind of been having a bit of romantic back and forth, kind of like arguing, but you know, it's turning into some lovability. And Cypher's like, "I want to be with you, and we can travel and like help people and do all this stuff. Like I can make you a better person, and you can show me how to live a little. You know what I mean? Opposites, but hey, maybe with the missing key, blah blah." And it's very cute. They are very sweet together. Season 3 especially, there's some great moments. Yeah, but then Alucard, someone has to guard the Belmont Hold and the castle that's stuck there. So Alucard gets to guard his father's castle and the Belmont Hold. So he's got all this stuff, but he can't go with them. So they venture off and he's all alone. And then, yeah, Season 3 happens. So Season 2, it's like a slow build of like manipulation and character moments and like building up relationships and also kind of establishing people's wants and needs and weaknesses and all these things. And then, like, all of it pays off by the end of the season. Like, we see Hector's weakness and how that affects him. Like, he becomes, like, Camilla basically tricks him and he's like, "I didn't want to get my, like, master killed or whatever. Like, fuck." And then Camilla, like, traps him and is like, "Hey, you know, I just, like, used you and now I'm going to take you hostage and make you make night creature armies for me to take over the world myself. So, fuck you."
Honestly, when Hector is absolutely fucked, I think that whole situation was like one of the best parts, because like they did such a good job of making us feel how like hopeless he is, because and how he feels, because
Like,
Yeah,
he's
bro.
so unsure about doing this to Dracula, and then he does it, and it shakes his whole world. And then the person who was meant to like be like, "This is the right thing," then stabs him in the back and like,
Just he gets beaten the shit out of.
yeah, like
And,
she beats him up, and
he's not given any clothes. He's like put in a cell.
yeah, he's
up in the
naked,
corner,
isn't he?
beaten up and like.
Well, that's
bro.
going into season 3, but yeah, like,
Yeah.
bro, she like makes him travel naked, like whipping him, and like she's like, "I'm gonna take you home, bitch." And then Isaac, like, there comes a moment where, before Dracula's killed, where they're coming up the stairs, they're killing all Cypher, Trevor, and Alucard. They're killing all these people in the way to get to Dracula, who's still just upstairs, like, fuck. And Isaac's like, "I will die for you," and Dracula's kind of like, I'm like immortal. Why would you trade your life for mine? Like, and he's like, "Because I believe in you. You're my friend." And he's been betrayed by Hector, but he almost doesn't even feel like he's kind of like, he's broken. He's like, "I had this, like, I caused this." He doesn't even blame him. Obviously, Isaac's pissed. And Isaac's like, "I will, defend you." But then Dracula like tricks him and throws him through a magic mirror into some desert somewhere, and then like destroys the mirror so Isaac can't get back. It's so like, again, these are villains, and yet you're like, oh my god, like, it's so sad for Isaac. And then Isaac's kind of set up in the desert where he's like, season 3, "I'm gonna find Hector and fucking kill this dick." Like, bruh. So yeah, those are the characters we forgot to mention their ends. But yeah, like, I gotta say, even though it's slightly slower at the start, it's worth it because it sets up all these amazing characters. It's kind of like there was the advertisement for the show, and then half of season 2 is like, okay, so we got you in with the advert. Here's the proper setup. Here's all the characters getting properly established together, the dynamics, all this stuff. And then here's this, like, now the last half is like, here's all the action. Here's all the amazing moments that what we built to. I would honestly say, I'm going to say 9 out of 10. I'm going to say I think it's probably the best season. Season 3 and 4 are both very close. I think they're very similar in quality, but it's just not quite as resonant, or like, just the action's still amazing. It's like everything. It's like season 2 is near perfection, so it's very hard to get that close, but they are very close. Like, I would still say, we'll get into it, but I'd still say 3 and 4 are around 8s and 8.5 still. Like, it's just that 2 is incredible.
Season 2 is like, it is Castlevania, and
through and through, yes.
And it kind of seems like it's the biggest. I don't know, like it's the biggest and most like epic, or like most important storyline that you could have. Like,
yeah, it's like that
to like.
Yeah, it's like if you only know a little bit
like
about Castlevania, like it's Dracula, that's the villain. So when Dracula's gone, the villains are still amazing, but it's still not as like it's a father versus son. It's like a whole entire family that's been devoted to fighting this thing, and like the last one of them fighting this guy and a magician. But yeah. So yeah, I say
it's that trio. Like it's that trio.
So
like, they're all together. They're like kind of all fighting together.
And then we don't get that for a while.
The ending, yeah.
It's part ways.
And then the ending, like with Dracula dying, and like, I think it's because Dracula's a far more like compelling.
Yeah, I mean, we get an
villain, because as we've said, like, you actually feel bad for him, because he actually does understand in the end, and he's kind of just broken. And
like, we get the very first episode has no Trevor Belmont. It is literally just about Dracula, and like his performance, like, he's probably the best voice actor in it. He's in it the least, but his performance in episode 1, like that bit where when he finds out his wife's murdered, and Alucard's trying to tell him, like, calm down, like, like, get revenge, but don't lash out against all of humanity. He's like, there are innocents. That, like, when he shouts that line, he's like, there are no innocents, not anymore. Like, I did a terrible job of that, but he does it incredible. Again, it's like Invincible. He screams, and I believe him.
Yeah. Loud is better.
Loud is better. So yeah, what are you saying? I'm saying 9 out of 10.
I'll say 9.
Nice.
Definitely.
I realised I said that we were gonna like properly go in depth in 4, but this is kind of becoming just more about each season. So yeah, we're probably just gonna go just as in depth as we are on all these. So yes, season 3 time. So if you've only watched up to season 2, get out of here. Season 3 is where, like, I really love season 3 a lot, but it kind of loses me towards the end. Not just because of the nudity, although that is a big thing that made me go, please don't do that again. I don't really need to see animated boobies in my Castlevania show. I'm okay, thanks.
I only want blood.
I do want blood and gore. That's what I want. And so basically we get Cypher and Trevor on the road, shagging, being a cool couple in the honeymoon phase. Apart from... They get. You think that's their first fight when they show up in town and Trevor's like, he finally gets a beer after being on the road and ages. He's like, oh, this beer's better than sex, and she's like, oh, my pussy's closed for you now. That's not a line. Yeah, I reckon that's their first fight. I reckon that was the end of the honeymoon phase right there. But they show up at this town, and there's a judge there played by Jason Isaacs who's like, hey, these religious nuts came about and they're a bit sus. They're a bit sussy, amogus. Amogus. You want to help out? And they're like, okay, I guess. And there's this cool guy played by Bill Nighy called Saint-Germain, who's a bit posh and kind of a traveller, and there's something about him you're like, there's some ulterior motives here. What's going on? He's trying to just be a scholar. Like, he's trying to get into the priory where all the religious people are, and he's trying to get like below ground and see what's going on, because like there was a big night creature attack with a giant night creature with like rainbow LED crazy epilepsy like magic coming out of him, and it went in the priory, and nobody's seen it leave yet. What's going on? Alucard's all by himself at his castle going insane. He's like talking to like puppets and himself, and he's like, Jesus Christ, it's only been 2 months. I thought it was like 2 years. Fuck. And then these Asian kids show up and go, hey, we've come all the way from Japan. And you're like, okay. And he's like, there's this vampire that's got a hold in our village. We need to learn how to kill it. Can you help us? And he's like, I will train you. And they're having a good fun time. He's reconnecting with people, and he's like, oh my god, I'm not insane anymore. I'm looking after these kids, and you know. But maybe there's a hint of like, oh, maybe
it's weird,
he's. Yeah, I know.
I don't
we'll
like
into
them.
It. No,
also,
I don't like
it seems kind of like just
something to do.
A device.
It is very much a device just to kind of make you get Alucard crazy, yeah, and like be like, maybe he's gonna be like his dad. Oh no. But yeah, there's like a setup of like, maybe he's holding stuff back from them to keep them here longer because maybe he's insane and doesn't want them to leave.
Also, bro, you should be grateful that he's teaching you anything.
Yeah, fuck you.
And it's his house.
Literally,
he's letting you live in his.
We'll get
wonderful,
into it.
Beautiful castle.
This is why season 3
Jesus.
is not a 9.
And also the random shit with the fucking Saint-Germain, like.
No,
the
I like.
Shit with the.
You don't like Saint-Germain stuff?
No. I like him, but the
I
stuff with
like the
endless,
Infinite Corridor stuff.
It's
I
a
love
bit
it.
wacky.
Yeah, but I'm up for
it loses
wacky.
me a bit. That's all.
Okay, I kind of get it, but I was so taken aback by it in a good way. I was like, whoa, there's this... Fuck it, we'll talk about this. So, Saint-Germain is actually after this thing called the Infinite Corridor, which is basically what an I keep saying LSD, an epileptic kind of rainbowy version of the vortex thing from the start of Doctor Who when the TARDIS is going through it, and you can step into different dimensions, different times, like
universes. It's kind of not really specific, but
yeah, and it's not properly set up. But basically, it's hinted. He basically tells us that he lost someone in the Infinite Corridor, this woman that he loves, and he's trying to find her. And he's got this magic stone that's like, hey, I think the Infinite Corridor's beneath the Priory. Maybe Belmont and Cypher help me get that, and also we can take down the Priory, and everything will be good. You can save the town. Wins for all. And then meanwhile, we got Camilla taking, I was about to say Isaac, that's not his name. Who's the other guy again? Shit. Hector, thank you. Sorry, I was going to say, all I could think was Trevor. He's taking Hector back to a castle. They're like beating him, keeping him naked in a cell. They're like, we'll just torture him until he makes night creatures for us. And then we learn that this kingdom is run by female vampires. There's the 2 lesbians. One's kind of, more diplomatic and not a fighter. The other one's a big. I love the big. I forget her name. The big one with the massive hair, who's like a warrior. Like she's cool. Striga. Yeah, she's very cool.
Yeah, her armor. Ooh.
Oh, in season 4, it's so good. But yeah, and then there's little what's her name? Lenore. I think it's just Lenore.
Lenore, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just Lenore. Yeah, there's little Lenore who is like, hey, I'm the diplomacy one who deals with things peacefully. Don't worry about Hector, I'll deal with that. And basically, Camilla's kind of impatient. She's got this idea to take over the entirety of Europe, fence it off, and have the humans just be breeding stock for thousands and maybe even millions of years. Keep them alive forever and just take over the entirety of Europe. Yeah, so the payoffs to all of this is that basically Trevor, Cypher, and Saint-Germain storm the Priory, and they take out a bunch of night creatures in there, and they learn that the Sala, the Prior, Sala, he wants to bring Dracula back, so they're using a night creature who can like control the infinite corridor. They're like stabbing it and like nailing it to a cross and torturing it until it opens this, and they're bringing all these demons. They're trying to bring Dracula back because they think the world was better when Dracula was around. They've abandoned God. So they fight all these people off in very cool ways. But again, like, I haven't even watched season 2 again. I can still remember a bunch of cool things from it, like a bunch of Cypher stuff and a bunch of ways Trevor uses the whip. But I can't remember any of the stuff from the end of season 3. It was very cool, but it was very much more like cool stuff with the whip and ice powers. It was cool, but it didn't stick out as much as moments in season 2. Then Saint-Germain gets in the corridor, they close it, and he's like, I'll see you again, bro, thank you. And then at the very end, we find out that the judge was not a paedophile. I thought he was a paedophile, but no, he just had a thing for killing kids to make the town a more civilized place, because those bloody kids, like, he'd tell them to go into the woods and get an apple from a tree, and he had a secret death pit in front of the tree. So they find out Cypher's kind of shook to a core, where she's like, even when we help these people, they're still monsters, and it's like, we did good things, but half the village died, and the person in charge of it, who we were helping the whole time, was a child murderer. And Trevor's kind of like, yeah, welcome to my life, understand why I'm a fucking alcoholic. And it's a very kind of like, I like how it ends with the two of them kind of being more grounded and like, fuck, like, even when we do good things, like, they're getting worn down by this. So yeah, I like that a lot. We'll go into the Hector stuff, because I know you've got a lot to say about Alucard and those stupid children. Basically, Lenore kind of tricks him into falling in love, and then they have animated sex, which I was not a fan of seeing. I don't know what it is about animated. Like, I was fine with Game of Thrones with sex and it do all the stuff you want, but like seeing like knowing that somebody spent the time to draw boobies and them jiggling mid penis going into, it's weird for me. And basically, she kind of
static movement.
Yeah, like... and she kind of, she tricks him into being like, I'm loyal to you, yes. And then as he blorts, which is the romantic way of saying it, she puts like this ring on his finger that kind of straps into his finger and like bleeds and cuts him, and now he can't do anything to betray anyone wearing the ring, which is Lenore and the rest of the female vampires. Otherwise it will like kill him or really hurt him, torture him, either way, And basically he's like, you fucking tricked me, and she's like, well, no, actually I do actually like you, and like, but I'm just doing the diplomatic thing, like, you get your freedom. She's like, you now get to walk around the castle, you can not live in a cell, you can chill with me, have sex, it'll be great. But you've just got to make night creatures for us, or you're going to get tortured by an evil ring. And he's like, well, I'm kind of mad, but also sex, so yeah, cool.
Also, I definitely have a choice, yes.
Yeah. It's kind of like, well, I'm being thing or whatever, but maybe I'll play ball, because maybe in season 4 I'll have a plan. He does. And we completely forgot to mention Isaac. Shit. Isaac, which is one of my favourite things in season 3. I can't believe I forgot that. Isaac goes on a big old crusade. He's like killing a bunch of people in the desert who are assholes to him because he's black. He's basically killing a bunch of racists, making them night creatures. But he's like talking to his night creatures. There's a really cool scene where he talks to one of his night creatures, and they're like, we're just here to kill. What? And it's like, no, what do you want? Like, what's... Because he's so bored and lonely, like good old Alucard, he starts talking to one of them. I meant to say Isaac, not Alucard. Silly me. Anyway, this is clearly in post, so whoops. But he's like respectful, and they're like, this is weird. Why is he being so respectful to me and whatever? And it's a really cool, like, philosophical talk about desires and things that you're born to do and, like, kind of told to do and programmed to do from birth, and maybe there's more to you, but how can you fight your programming? You know what I mean? Really cool stuff. He eventually finds a really cool ship captain, one of my favorite characters, who's like... He's always like, I'm going to take your ship and kill you, and I could just do that, and, you know, we can just take your ship to where Hector is, and I can kill him. And he's always like, his catchphrase is, you could, but... And then he starts, like, he's very cool, and, like, none of my men are going to hurt you or try to hurt you. Like, he's like, I'm just intrigued by things, and I want to help you out. Like, you look like you're in need. I'm not afraid of night creatures and stuff. I'll be helpful. And he's like, oh, okay. And they have really cool talks on the boat where Isaac is slowly realizing that maybe there's more to just killing everybody and everybody being evil because he's seen the worst. Maybe there's actually more to, like, deciding what you want and maybe actually dealing with bad people to allow good people to live rather than just killing everybody because, you know, well, they could go bad. And then he eventually finds his place where he needs to get more of an army to storm Camilla's castle. And he's like, hey, this old witch is like, hey, there's this evil guy who's like mind controlled an entire town, and they're like slaves. They're all awake and can feel everything, but they have no control, and they're all being worked to the bone as slaves to like build him his own kingdom. And I was just like, fuck this. And it's my favorite moment in season 3. He just goes in there, starts turning them all like a midnight creatures, and he's like trying to desperately get up to this old wizard who's like, you know, trying to keep him back. And he uses mind powers to make all the people form a giant, like, people ball that is, like, trying to crush him, and he's, like, shoving them through, like, he's, like, throwing them through stone and, like, just chucking people at him to try and... I was a bit
confused as why he was doing that, but I remember that some girl told him that.
It was the witch, yeah.
Yeah.
She basically was like, hey, you could just go... I know what you want. You could just go kill Hector and do all this stuff, or... you could, like, go help these people, and also a side thing is you could turn some of them into night creatures and treat them better and, like, get rid of this evil guy. And he finally kills the guy, and it takes all his might, and, like, he does it. And then, like, he suddenly realizes, he's like, maybe doing good things for people is good. Like, he feels good saving people from someone truly evil, and he's like, maybe my own personal things are getting in the way of, I could actually make this world a better place, not just by killing, but, like, rebuilding and giving people a chance to do better. So he kind of puts off. That sounds kind of he postpones going to Hector, and he's like, I'm going to stay in this thing for a little bit, rebuild it for people to come. Maybe this can be a place they can, you know, just live and be good. So finally, Alucard. So these Asian kids, I think they're they must be Japanese. They're like, hey, you've been treating us real well and like feeding us and training us and teaching us all these cool stuff. We want to treat you. And he's like, what? And they both strip down naked.
Brother and sister.
And they kind of like put him down his bed, and he's clearly uncomfortable with this, but he doesn't really... He's so disconnected from human things. Like, yeah, he's been hanging out with them, but sexually he's got no idea. And he's like, is this good or bad?
He's been alone and disconnected from things and people for so long. Yeah. So he's like, hey, I guess...
But he's clearly not comfortable with it, but he also doesn't know what to, you know what I mean? And then they, like, string him up with this magic, like, silver whatever. It's, like, burning his body. And they're like, fuck you, you're hiding stuff from us. You're holding back. Like, we're gonna kill you, and we're gonna, like, learn how to move this castle, and we're gonna go help our people. And the whole time he's begging with them and pleading, like, look, I'm not hiding anything. I can help you. I can do, you know what I mean? He's like, don't make me, like, kill you or whatever. Like, you're not bad people. Like, don't do this. And then they go to kill him, but they forget he's got a mind control sword, and he like slits their throats. And it just shakes him to the core, and like we end the season with him putting their bodies on pikes outside, and he's like walking really angry. He's like, this will do better than a like like don't like danger fucking sign or whatever.
Yeah. And then at the start of season 4, there's like even more there, isn't there? So
was there? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure.
You can look it up to see, but I don't remember there being more. That's more disturbing if there were more. I thought it was just the one. Maybe I should have been more. Maybe I should have been less on his side in season 4 than I was. Holy shit. But yeah, it's
There's more things there.
But is it specifically like people piked, or he's moving his camera to the screen? Oh, I see. Wow, he did kill more people at the start of season 4. Wow, that's a sag. Maybe I shouldn't have just liked him so easily at the start of season 4. Oh my god. Yeah, Jesus. But yeah, anyway, so season 3, I would say, I don't know, it's just really retarded, that storyline. It's such a waste of time. And it's basically to set up, like, oh, he's alone and crazy and he's becoming more like his dad. Maybe he's seeing, like, basically this whole thing is, this season is like, the people who were fighting for good start to see the bad and are like, wow, this is very bad. And they kind of, you know, they get questioned morally, and they go through an arc of like, oh, is this right what we're doing? Because when we do something right, there's wrong that comes from it, and we become more like monsters, or we deal with more people who are monsters. Like, what is it to be right in this world, to help people? How do we know if people are truly good? Blah blah blah. And then the people who were bad and saw people as nothing but bad learn that there's more to it. Like, it's a really cool dynamic of getting people to this middle ground of like, what is helping people at the end of the day? Who really deserves help? And how do you know? Who do you trust? Like, you know what I mean? And it's very cool, but Alucard's way of getting to that point is so dumb. Like, we never again see this Japanese bitch. I think maybe we see her as like a background in the final battle in season 4, or maybe not. I don't even remember. But like, yeah, it's such a weird thing to set up. Like, hey, we need help to help our village, and then they just like the fact they act so irrationally. It's very hard to be like, how could you, Alucard? Like, no, I don't think anybody's like that. I think everybody's like, no, they deserved it. Like, why would you do? He was training you like every day, feeding you, letting you drink like the expensive wines and all these other things.
They weren't even likable to me in the first place. Like, I just fucking
do you remember
found them annoying.
Do you remember the bit where they're like on his back and they're like, go make us water, slave, like as a joke, and he's like, ha ha ha, very funny, you cocky kids. And it's like, oh, what the fuck? No, that's rude.
So, like, is that meant to be a sinister thing? Because it definitely
but I don't think it was set up like that. Yeah. It wasn't like we were meant to see that. It's not like we were it's not like we were friends with somebody who was in a toxic relationship and they didn't see it. So while they thought it was cheery, we were like, oh, like we were both there, like, what the fuck? Like they did it in a way where it was like, oh, they're joking, and it's like, I don't know about that. But anyway, yeah, season 3, I really like the stuff it does. It gets very complex, even more Game of Thronesy. Characters go through these really cool arcs, and you believe it. And I like Isaac, especially. That season really sells me on Isaac, and it makes him he probably is my favorite character. You know, along with Hector. I really like Hector.
I think,
especially in season 4,
good stuff does happen, but I think it's definitely
there's
not really a final point to it. It's more of a bridging, like,
yeah, no, I agree. It's more of a like
it's a setup,
moral questioning into season 4.
It's probably I'm not counting season 1 as a season, to be honest, but it's probably like the worst season out of the 3.
I would say the worst is 2. This is the thing. It's like we're saying negative things, but at the end of the day, it's still really incredible. I would say it's the least best. That's what I'd say. Like, there's things in it that
are boring. I won't lie.
I don't think I was ever bored. I think I liked it more than you did. Like, I really like the Infinite Corridor stuff and all that other stuff. But hey, that's where we differ. We're allowed to differ. Hey, people, you're allowed to have different opinions. I would still say it's really good. I would still give it, I gave season 1 an 8.5, didn't I? I would probably give it 8 or 7.5. I think I'd have to watch it again to give a fully, like, thing. But I do remember at the end of the day, like, really enjoying it. And I love... At the end of the day, the only thing I don't like that much is the Alucard stuff, and there's still, Hector, Isaac, Cypher, and Trevor. Like, there's still 3 other storylines going on at the same time that I really like. I like the female vampires. I like all of them, how they set it up. It's not like a feminist kind of in-your-face, like, women! It's like, no, they're just like the male characters where There's positives to them and there's negatives to them. Like, there's not an exception made. That's what I like. Like, the female characters in the show, they aren't shoved in your face as, like, strong. Yeah, like, Cypher's strong, but, like, that, it's not like a thing of, like, look, she's a woman, she's strong. It's like, no, she's just a character. Like, there's, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, it just balances stuff really well, and I just really like this female society of vampires. Like, Striga's, I love her, like, battle mindset, but also she's, like, she's ready to battle, but she's not like a big brute, like, rah, like, she's very much like, yeah, we can do this plan to pen in everybody and do this shit, but it's gonna kill a lot of people, it's gonna hurt our guys, like, we, you know what I mean? And Lenore, I really like Lenore's character, even though she, like, is deceiving and betrays Hector in a way, she kind of does it in a way where it's like, no, I'm being fair to you, and I actually kind of love you, so this is the best scenario for both of us, and it kind of is. And yeah, it's a really good setup going into, like, I care more about that going into season 4 than I did about Trevor, Cypher, and Alucard stuff, because they were a bit loose. It was like, yeah, they've gone through these moral things, but where are they actually going? Whereas, like, you know, Isaac is, even though he's trying to help people, he's still, his end goal is to kill Camilla, who betrayed him, and also Hector, who helped her, and take all that out and raise this army. And obviously they're raising their own army and trying to get Hector to take over Europe, and we'll eventually find out the world. So like they're all converging together, whereas it's a bit unclear about where they're going. But the stuff was really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna say 8, 7.5 to 8. How about you?
7.
Nice.
I'm not gonna deal with the 0.5s.
Okay, I respect that. I'm too wishy-washy. I don't want to like define, like, these most of these will probably change with time when I watch the show again. They'll probably get more positive because anytime I've rewatched the season, I've liked it even more. So, and then finally, season 4. I remember when before we started this, I was like, I don't want this to go too long, but turns out I just have a lot to say about the show.
I mean, we've kind of just been like telling the whole.
Yeah,
We've telling the whole story, just being like, this happened, this happened, this happened. Hey,
and it was cool.
This is cool, and this is pretty cool. Hey, maybe this is not cool, and this is what happened.
And hey,
so this is what happened in season 4.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably do some of this.
Well, you know what
instead
happens?
of me talking for hours.
Fuck, I'll forget.
So Hector seems to be kind of chilling. He's actually kind of okay with the situation. He's having
stepped up in the world. He's
having like deep talks with Lenore and actually kind of respecting her. And they have this really cool relationship where like it's an open space when they talk to each other. There's no kind of like setup for betrayal. They trust each other and they talk openly about their fears and worries about Camilla slowly going.
I never really believe it though. I never really believe it, which is kind of paid off in the end when like he's been sneaking around doing all this.
True, but also, like, even though he was sneaking around doing stuff, he still was being respectful to her. He never wanted to hurt her. It was almost like, that's what I kind of liked, is that he kind of pulls what Lenore did to him in season 3 on her in season 4, where like he like, you know, kind of deceives her a bit and does the stuff, but it's within her best interest as she, you know, as she's getting more and more kind of unsure about Camilla, who's going crazier and crazier, like wanting to take over the entire world. And they're like, this is maybe isn't, all the other female vampires are like, this probably isn't sustainable. We've only barely been trying to take over Europe and it's already stretching our armies thin. People are dying. Yeah, it's stressful.
I think episode 3 is an interesting one for me in season 4. It's the one where pretty much like 3/4 of it is just like talking, and it's where Isaac is like talking to his like minion buddy.
Oh, the fly guy, yeah.
Yeah. It's like after he's took over the town completely, and they're like,
and he's like, "Why don't we move on?"
Rebuilding it. Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, we could leave this for whatever." So, and yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's blah blah blah, and then the London, the Londoner.
Oh, Varney of London.
Yeah, Varney. Yeah. He
yeah, so basically, yeah, Isaac's
Scott
like...
calls him.
Yeah, Isaac's like, we're trying to make this place better for people to come. Like, again, it's this thing of like, I no longer want to kill everybody. I actually want to just get rid of evil and allow people to be good and like, you know. But yeah, so there's this kind of... The plot throughout is like, again, there's people trying to raise Dracula from the dead, but this time it's some Russian vampire, I forget his name, and this London, this overly talkative boy... Varney of London, who's like, we're going to bring back Dracula, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you know, he's pretty much getting everyone on his side. He's getting Saint-Germain on his side to help him. He's trying to get Isaac to help him, but Isaac's like, fuck off, I got bigger things to do. He tries to get, like, Hector to help him at one point, who I think slightly helps him, but not really. Oh, Hector tries to help him secretly to be like, almost as an apology to Isaac, to be like, look, I'm trying to get Dracula back. But then Isaac's like, let him rest, you know what I mean? We're getting ahead of ourselves. But yeah, so Trevor and Cypher traveling about, and they come across where did they actually end up again? I forget. Oh, that's right, they go back to the place where Dracula first attacked, where the wife was killed, and there's a crazy woman there who's like, yo, help the underground royal court come back, we're gonna make this place cool. But the royal court, the leaders have been dead and everybody's starving, and we kind of get this setup of Cypher wanting to take care of people and properly regiment and control these survivors and all these people to, like, be sustainable, like, you know, take charge, be like a mayor almost, like the judge was at Pet for Apart, you know, less killing kids. Like, she wants to, don't keep the water and stuff so close to the latrines, and, like, you know, she's trying to take charge and help people. And Trevor's just kind of there like, I want to help people too, but this is exhausting and people kind of suck, but I love you, so hey. And then they come across Varney of London and the Russian guy who are trying to bring out Dracula, and they're like, fucking hell. And they kind of are like, yes, we've got the setup to do it. Saint-Germain is going to do his alchemy stuff, because if he helps us bring Dracula back through the Infinite Corridor, he can also get his bitch back, who he couldn't find when he went in last time. So they end up at Dracula's castle to bring him back, which coincides with Alucard basically gets called away to some village to help some survivors, and there's this woman there taking charge, like, help us survive. And there's kind of a flirty thing going back and forth where he's like, maybe we are cool. And there's, like, a really cool traveling sequence where they travel through night to get back to his castle, and they take care of this, like, spider, like, he spits, like, acid, and there's these really cool fight sequences where, like, Alucard's zipping through the trees after it, dodging acid, and, like, cutting down branches so it falls, and, like, yeah, it's very cool. And they get back to Dracula's castle, and he's like, hey, we can survive here. But then they're like, fuck, Varney of London's here, and he's with Saint-Germain spawning Dracula, fuck. And there's a big battle going to go down here again.
That's kind of bad.
And then there's this really cool moment where Trevor and Cypher follow them through, and they come down right at a moment where Alucard's fighting some big thing, and, like you say, synergy, like, she throws electricity, Trevor whips one side, it, like, blows the side off, and he kind of teleports forward, and there's this, again, it's like this nonchalant thing of, like, oh, hello again. It's like, hey, bro.
And then they swing back into it like the old gang. Back into it.
It's so good. I was so happy. I was, like, genuinely cheering when they finally got back together. That's probably my biggest complaint of season 3 we didn't bring up, is that they're apart for so long. Like, I like them as a unit, and they got back together, and I was like, yes, the synergy. So there's a big battle going down there. We'll get back to that. On the other side of the world, Camilla is going crazy, and we kind of get a hint as to why. Like, Lenore's trying to ask her, like, why the world? What's going on? And she's basically got this obsession with men's blood. She was basically, we don't see it properly, but she was mistreated by men. Like, she basically bounced from Vampire Man to Vampire Man, all treating her badly, all doing nothing with their powers to sustain life and just being whatever. And she just, basically, she's got a thing of, like, men are ruining the fucking world, it's our time to shine. But little does she know, she's going just as crazy as Dracula did, except she's younger and has got more of a will to enact and take over the whole world. And Lenore's like, this is not sustainable. And she's like to Hector, she's going crazy, I don't know what to do. And he's like, well,
the thing with Striga and her lover, I forget the other.
I forget the other one's name. I feel bad, but yeah.
The thing that happened in that episode 3, was that, like, they're kind of debating, like, it is possible that they do it.
Yes.
But
for how long?
If they do decide to do it, then it's going to be the rest of their
lives,
or like years and years, and it's just going to be like constant pain and trouble.
Yeah,
and
like she's.
They don't know when it's going to end.
She's going to spend her whole life.
Do they really want to do that forever?
Yeah, killing humans and rounding them up, and like the other one, the girlfriend, is never going to be with her, trying to control it from another place. Like, and if it's the world, fucking hell, the amount, like, you know what I mean? It's like, do we actually want this out of our lives? Like, we're doing this so we can live forever, but what kind of life will it be if we...
And it's only for
like,
Camilla's...
Yeah, like lust for blood and control. And it's not about them anymore as a family. I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't... Yeah. And that's also the cool bit where people attack them midday. And so she has to bust out the day armor, which is like this black like night armor that covers her completely, because obviously vampires in the sun, you're gonna die. And like she's only got a little bit of like this glass that reflects it off to see through,
like honeycomb glass or whatever.
It's so good when she just goes out
it's
and
like purple
slaughters
and then
these
gold,
people.
like,
yeah, the purple and gold. Oh, it's so good. Look it up if you haven't seen it. You just hear because, yeah, and basically, speaking of conversion, Hector's been a bit sneaky, placing these little stones in gaps in the walls in the castle and stuff. And basically what it does is, it makes it so the castle can be like invaded, and there's like kind of a magical doorway to allow quick travel of an invading army to get from place to place. And it also can trap Lenore in a cage so that she can't fight back and stop things. So he finally gets his hammer, his magic hammer, to start making night creatures, and he starts making some. Just as Isaac shows up through his magic glass, all of his army come in. It's this awesome siege where even though they're night creatures against vampires, Isaac's the most badass one with a dagger. He's like flipping and kicking and like stabbing people, turning them into night creatures, and then throwing them at other people to fight. And like,
and he just has so many that it's just
they're just getting overwhelmed. And then,
and bro, there's these vampires like learning like just school kids. It looks like whatever the fuck they are, and he just snaps his fingers, and
I don't think they were school kids. I think they were more like younger vampires,
equivalent kids to vampires.
Yeah, I guess.
Like,
they're all adults.
It looked like there was a teacher, and they were all being taught. And
it's more like university level. I'll give you that.
Yeah. And then these
he doesn't come in and kill a bunch
monsters.
of kids. That'd be hard to.
I mean, yeah, whatever.
But yeah, I get what you're saying, yeah. And then, he's like, it's so good. And he sends a bunch of night creatures to Camilla, who's in this room, and she kills so many of them, and so many are coming at her, that the room fills up with blood. It becomes a floor filled with blood, almost like an ice skating rink, but it's blood.
It reminded me of, like, the River of Styx in Hades. Or, like...
Yes,
Hades. And the whole art style is very, like...
It gets very
Hades.
In season 4 it gets very, there's a lot of like close-up moments with this really interesting shading, and like there's a lot season 4 is the best like 3D? Animation. No,
I'm not sure if it is.
To be fair, actually, in season 4 there are a few moments where like when they're fighting, it almost as if the frames slow down just so they can.
Well, when they do like the
sometimes they switch to 3D.
Yeah, and it looks a bit. It
becomes a bit
CG
rather than drawing.
And they do like 360, like.
I don't mind the 360. I don't mind the 360
but it looks
stuff.
Weird. That's the
thing. Does. It is a bit jarring sometimes, but I just meant like the detail sometimes in the face. Like when they have close-ups and they proper like shade them and like draw shadows and like all these harsh lines. I think that stuff's really cool. They do like a lot of close-up moments, but it does sometimes make the characters look more angry than they should be in certain situations. But yeah, anyway, Isaac makes his way down to Hector, and Hector's kind of like, look, I've accepted you were coming to kill me, but like, he's like, I did betray Dracula and I messed up, and I'm accepting my death. I'm not fighting it. Like, I've made it easy to take out Camilla, who I know you also want revenge on. He's trapped Lenore in a cage, like this magic cage, and he's like, look, just don't hurt her. She's not a part of this. Like, she won't revenge. Like, she's diplomatic. I love her or whatever. And then Isaac's kind of like, look, Hector, I've learned to forgive, and that like we were in this together. Dracula was never actually gave ourselves a chance to do what we wanted. We just kind of blindly followed Dracula. And while he's my friend, and I'm upset you betrayed him, like I can see you've grown and gone on your own journey as I have. And there's more to life than revenge and whatever. I mean, he's still gonna kill Camilla because she's crazy, but he's like, yeah. And Isaac like hacks off his own finger. To get the ring off, he like cuts his own finger off, and
this blood binding ring.
Yeah, he sets everything up for Hector sets everything up for Isaac to be able to take out Camilla, And Isaac's like, respect, G. Like, I forgive you. Like, I've learned to move on.
Man.
There's more to it. And they both go through arcs where they both learn to do things for themselves, and it's cool. And Isaac's like, I'm just going to go kill Camilla because she's crazy. And we have this amazing fight where, like, Isaac's like, you know, they're fighting each other, and there's cool sword play and, like, daggers flipping from hand to another.
With
his night creatures, yeah.
He's just a fucking... He's
He's
a
a
guy.
man yeah.
He's a skilled guy, but this
Very
is Camilla.
skilled.
She's epic.
1,000-year-old vampire with a cool sword, like almost like a katana. And eventually he bests Camilla and kills her. And then we get this ending where it's like, Isaac's like, I'm just gonna... I think Isaac is gonna rule over it. What does he say? He's gonna rule over his own kingdom and, like, be good for people, or... I think he maybe said, either he's gonna rule over a kingdom and be good for people, or he's gonna travel around, help people... and he's like, Hector, what do you want? And Hector's like, I just want to write a book and, like, live out my days with Lenore.
Have sex with Lenore.
Hey, live out his days, but sex is implied. And yeah, they move on part ways, and it's a really nice ending for the two of them.
Even though when they end, it's like, I never get the vibe on that ending, like, kind of bit with them two, that they actually, like, they're kind of just... She's kind of just sick of him in a way, like.
Oh yeah, with Lenore,
like,
yeah.
It's playful, but it's like.
Yeah. So yeah, that happens, and then back to Dracula's castle. There's all this shenanigans going on, all the fighting, synergy, all these epic kind of moments, very season 2-esque because it's the storming of Dracula's castle again, and they are going up to where Saint Germain is trying to respawn, trying to tell Dracula to hit R. And basically, it turns out that Varney of London is actually like Death himself. Not like Death as we know. It's very confusing. He's a villain from the games. Yeah, I didn't buy that.
Wacky out of nowhere,
it's like suddenly he's like a super super being, and you're like, yeah, all right, they need a thing to fight. You know, it's fine.
Skeletor!
And Saint Germain's like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't have been deceived by the devils and stuff to bring back Dracula. And they're bringing back Dracula as like a hermaphrodite creature. They're gonna have like Dracula and his wife both be stuck in one body, so that Dracula goes even more crazy and kills even more people. Doesn't seem like a good plan. So then Dracula's soul and his wife's soul get stuck in this body, and they're going crazy. And Saint Germain lets down the shield because he's like, well, I fucked up and did the wrong thing. And he sees Belmont, and he's like, yo, Belmont, kill it. So they immediately kill it. And Death's like, you really fucked up my thing here.
With the fucking electricity, fucking fire, spinning blade thing combo attack.
Oh yeah, he like throws his whip into it as like Cypher charges it with electricity. It's very cool. The hermaphrodite thing goes... And then we get... The Rebus, thank you. That's what it's called. And then we get this final moment where it's like Trevor versus Death, who's like... Basically, it's kind of hinted at like, yeah, if Trevor doesn't knock him off, which is basically impossible to do, the world's fucked. So it's like... Trevor's like fighting this almost impossible thing to kill. He's getting knocked down, but like Captain America, he keeps getting back up. And it's hinted just before he goes in when he shouts to Cypher. He finally admits, instead of just... in being like a, you know, like a badass, like, hide my feelings, I'm a man, yeah. He says to Cypher that he loves her.
I love you.
I love you. And he says something about a name. I didn't catch it at the time. So he must have known she was pregnant going into that, I guess. He said, like, call it this or whatever.
Don't call him Trevor or...
Oh, yeah, Trevor or something like that. I think that's
shit.
how, like, her people pronounced it first or whatever. And then he goes to Death, and he's got this magic blade that he kind of picked up a bunch of artifacts throughout. I forgot about that spinning blade. It's so fucking cool. It's like a blade that spins, and he chucks it, and it comes back to him. Very Captain America, but it's a blade. It's so sick. And he puts his magic thing in it, and Death's like, I didn't know you had that fucking thing. Fuck. And then he kills Death.
It's not a spinning blade, though, is it?
No, it's a different blade. There's multiple blades.
He fucking shoves a stone in it.
A stone in it, it's magic.
That, you know, it's like... What was...
It's a magical whatever.
It's like some guy made a deal with God, or I don't know.
Yeah. And Saint Germain is like dying in the corner, but we see him do a little magic-y thing just before Trevor stabs it. We don't know what it is. And then Trevor stabs it, but it like blows up so hard it blows him up too. and Trevor dies, and you're like, oh no.
But we don't see him die.
I mean, we kind of do. We see like the big wide explosion that happens, and like I thought I
see
saw
his
him
dead
get
body.
evaporated. We don't. You're true. And then the final episode has the final payoff for some of these characters. Alucard's gonna let all these people live within the castle, and outside they're gonna make a village. And he's in love with this girl, and like, hey, he's human. His human side's out, and he's a good person. Yeah, he's not gonna kill people. He's found his other half, and he's found happiness, and he believes in people again. Cypher's obviously completely broken because she's pregnant, and also like Trevor's dead. But she's like, I'm gonna go on the road and just travel with my people, the speakers again, and raise the baby. And unlike last time where Alucard let them go, and Alucard, like, I like that thing where he does change and he's like, no, I want you and need you to stay. So she decides to stay, but then hey-oh, there's a horse coming, what the fuck? Trevor's body's falling off it.
Gallop.
But he's alive, and Trevor's like, basically, as I was dying, Saint-Germain opened the infinite corridor and spawned me somewhere else.
Basically, I respawned. Yes.
So I'm okay, but I need help badly.
Basically, I had an extra life in the Castlevania game.
And then he says something rude to Cypher or whatever, like as a joke, and Cypher's like, "Fuck you," and he's like, "What?" And she's like, "Fuck you, I love you," and you're like, "Ah, they're the best." And Alucard's like, "Hey, we both got bitches now, and we're gonna live in a village together, and you're raising a kid. Sitcom much?" And he's like, what the fuck is a sitcom? This is medieval times. And he's like, that doesn't happen. But, bants. And we're left on this really happy ending of, like, everything's worked out for them and all their sacrifice and doing all these good things even when evil was all around them. It's paid off, and I was very happy. And I wish they would have ended it there, but they had an extra 5 minutes to go. Oh, and also Dracula and his wife, they respawned somewhere. Now they get to be alive.
For some reason.
Good. And it's like, yeah, the show started from that, but it's so far gone to like, yeah, each season's like, let's bring him back, yeah. But they never do, and it became, you know what I mean? Like, it annoyed me that it ended on that.
He was out of it.
I don't think it was as important as they thought it was. Like, I don't really care. Like, they were already together in hell. Like, yeah, it's hell, but they were together finally, and they were like resting. So it's like nothing much has changed except they're in the real world now.
Also, how did it happen?
Yeah, like,
what, like when their Rebus was killed or something, they just
their souls went somewhere
else.
But were their bodies waiting for them? Or yeah, like with Trevor, you accept that. Well, he opened the infinite corridor. We did see him doing something magical as Saint-Germain was dying. So hey, yeah, I can buy that, whatever, and a happy ending. But it annoyed me because I was like, that's such a perfect ending. The fade out on them finally being happy, and then you're like. Also, Dracula and his wife are happy. You're like, it's like it doesn't annoy me, but it does. No, you know what? It does annoy me. I'm like, those are like, yeah, we started with them, but they aren't the main characters. Like, Dracula's wife has been dead since season 1, episode 1. Like, we're meant to care that now she's back. Like, yeah, she was important, but she was in 1 episode. But yeah, that's the end. And that's also going to bring us to the end of the podcast because we've gone quite long, haven't we? But yeah, in the end, that end, like the bit with Dracula is a bit annoying, but it's 5 minutes, and when I rewatch it, I can easily just stop on that original fade out and pretend that's where it ends. So I'm gonna say 8 out of 10. I'm gonna say it's as good as season 1 for me. I really enjoyed the ending.
Yes, I agree.
And I mean, I'm sorry if we spoiled the entire show for you, and now you're like, fuck, that actually sounds really good. Well, it's your loss.
This was a Castlevania walkthrough.
This was literally a Castlevania walkthrough. It says review, but we just went through it. It's, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but so yeah, final thoughts on the whole show. It's a great time, and I'm very glad it happened. And for anyone who's like, yo, this is a great video game adaptation. Mortal Kombat 2021 is the best video game thing ever. Fuck you. Castlevania is the best video game thing ever. Probably never going to be topped unless somebody does something amazing.
I think this is good though that I don't even count it. I haven't really played the Castlevania games, but like I don't really even count it as a video game adaptation.
I've barely played 2 of the games, and yeah, like you don't need to know anything. It superseded
that title. It's kind of just a good show.
It's what I wish Game of Thrones would have been. Like, it becomes Game of Thronesy season 2 onwards. Like, it becomes like factions and deceit and politics and but a cool action too and great characters. and it like ended in the 4 seasons, and it's satisfying rather than going too long and being fucking stupid.
Did you notice worse voice acting in season 4 or no?
No, I thought it was
like
just
not
as good.
voice acting, but in terms of like quality. Like
Oh, you mean like
quality.
the quality of the audio?
The quality of the audio, like the voices. I thought it was worse.
I didn't notice that.
Tomorrow.
No.
I was thinking maybe that could be like a COVID type thing where like people had to
do from
like
home.
maybe they were but like maybe they were sent like the same equipment, but obviously
the rooms
it's not going to be the
and...
exact same. Yeah, maybe I'm not sure though.
I didn't notice anything to be fair.
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything to be fair, but fair play. Yeah. I mean, it
I
didn't take
might be
me
talking
out
out my ass, but.
Well, I feel bad because I've basically spoke for pretty much all of this, and you've gave little anecdotes, but you know, we went down a certain route. But yeah, that's the whole show. Yeah, we've gone for like an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, if that doesn't tell you how much we love this show, I don't know what will. We had just as much to say about this as we did like all of Lord of the Rings with 4 of us. This may even go longer than Lord of the Rings slightly. I don't remember how long that did go in the end, but Jesus Christ, it's so good. Please check it out if you haven't, even if we spoiled it for you. Just watching to see it for yourself, because it's better than us just explaining.
Oh shit, Bill Nye is Saint Germain. Oh,
yeah, I said that. Bill Nye, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's great, yeah. Yes, so thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, do whatever you want. Leave a comment and say we suck. That's cool. Joe, what are you going to do for the lovely people if they like? You going to send them a microphone to their house?
Oh, bloody hell. Alright, I'm going to pick you up, throw you in the air. Your belly button is going to land on my finger, then I'm going to spin you round
like
akin to a basketball, but it's on your belly button. And I'm going to do that until you puke.
Oh.
And then what's going to happen is
the entirety of Space
you
Jam
will have made
1?
a mess. You will have made a silly mess.
Silly
Only
mess.
the fault of yourself.
Yes.
And then I'll clean it up for you, and then you'll have to thank me.
Ah, so you're doing them a favour in the end. I like that a lot. I
feel like I did one like that before where it was.
You did it last week where you were like, "I'm going to cut off your brain, but then reattach it."
Yeah, I make a problem, but then I fix it for you, and you have to ultimately thank me because without me, what would you have done? You couldn't clean that sick up all by yourself, could you?
You can't clean that sick up, you pussy.
You would have missed the spot, you silly human.
Oh my god. Oh, it's late, guys. It's 11 o'clock at night. It's been a long day.
It's 11 o'clock. It's late.
We really appreciate you for watching, listening. Thank you very much. We'll get out of here. We've talked for way too long. I hope you enjoyed it, though.
God, we've been pushed out the door. Fuck. Jesus. All right, guys. Sorry. We'll go. Fine. We'll go.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll go. Jeez. Don't need to push us out so much.
Fucking hell.
Oh, it smells like a dog fart.